Hi, Sheila here. Thought we could sit for a little while together and bring our awareness inward, take a break. So find a comfortable seat. We'll do this together. It will be guided, maybe for 15 or 20 minutes. I never really know. So a comfortable seat, I was speaking with someone yesterday. A comfortable seat means that your back is supported in a way that works for you. So if you are comfortable sitting on one of those meditation benches or cushions, and you feel like you can sit upright, your core can sustain you for the 15 or 20 minutes, that's fine. But if you find yourself collapsing or straining in the mid to lower back, there's nothing wrong with leaning against a chair. Or if you're sitting on a couch, you can just put some pillows behind you so that you have this feeling of sitting up. You know, the kids often sit down like this, and I'm always encouraging them to sit up. So here kind of constricts all of your breathing apparatus. So sitting up allows the spine to lengthen and kind of brings an alertness to the mind. So we do want to be alert for this experience. It's not a precursor to falling asleep. We're not looking to get rested in that way. So no drowsiness. So sit upright in a way that you can sustain for the 15 or 20 minutes and that you're comfortable, supported. And then close or lower your eyes, whatever feels most comfortable for you. And I'll just ask that we take a few full breaths together at your own pace, a little deeper, a little wider than you usually do. As a way to bring your awareness present to the seat you've taken. So you're moving to this seat from whatever activity you came from, and there's a transition. And those transitions are good points for mindfulness, noticing the difference. As long as there isn't a story about it, as long as it's just a noticing and experience, going from this to that. And as I've said before, those few deeper breaths really cue the nervous system to relax. So keeping our focus on our breath for the next little bit of time, let's just take one deep, full breath together. So from the belly up to the ribs, a long, slow breath. And then make the next breath kind of short and shallow. Little sip of breath. And then make the next breath kind of medium. Not too much, not too little. And then again, a long, deep, full, wide breath. Slow, conscious exhale. And then the next breath is kind of shallow and small. And the following breath is kind of medium size, kind of a regular everyday breath. And we'll do that cycle twice more. So long, full breath. Feel the upper chest rise, maybe expand. The exhale is slow, no rush here. The next breath is short, and the next breath is medium size. And then a full breath. You notice the difference here. You breathe right up into the upper chest. Feel the ribs expand. And the exhale is slow and gentle and even. And the next breath is kind of short. And the following breath is just medium, everyday breath. And then returning to your comfortable rhythm of your own breath as we sit, keeping the eyes lowered or closed, tuning in to the feel of our breath without any guidance. So we often notice where it's most predominant in our body, That's where our attention will gravitate. Sometimes we notice that there's a bit of narration, a bit of thought, idea. So without categorizing any of that for content, just observe the journey back so that you come to rest on the feel of your breath. And if the breath is not a comfortable place for your awareness, then sensation somewhere in the body. Always a doorway to the present moment. Or on this kind of late spring afternoon, there may be sounds from outside that will create a nice resting place for awareness as you experience the sounds as they come and go. Just being aware of that cycle from noticing thoughts that distract and the path back into this moment through the breath or sensation or sound. And then I'll just introduce a little bit of a kind of metta or friendliness practice. Great way to ease stress and create a sense of comfort within our nervous system. So into this restful seat that you've created physically and internally with the breath, relaxing and releasing, just bring to mind a time or a place or a person that you care for. So you have a sense of caring for, it could be a pet. It could be your children when they were small, even if they're grown, or a friend you've cared for. It could be someone you hardly know that you've done something for that was caring, some small gesture of caring. And just hold that in your awareness for a few breaths. So we're holding the feelings, maybe images, the essence, how it felt to care and take care of another, rather than the story about how that came to be. What it generates inside of us when we are caring towards another. You may notice any changes in the interior landscape when you hold that kind of image or experience in your awareness. A felt sense of caring for another. It could be something very simple or small that meant a lot to someone else so that they felt cared for. So just kind of remembering in an experiential way that feeling that gets created when we are caring. And then moving on with this exercise, we will call to mind a time when we were cared for by another. Someone who did something very caring for you. And so it may not be a parent, but it may, or a friend. And if something like this doesn't come to mind easily, it could also be, just as easily, a time where you just felt included in something, appreciated, part of a group, valued for something by another. So we really reach into that feeling of being cared for or noticed or appreciated. Cared for just because of who we are, not because we did something or created something, but just that sense of being cared for, a sense of belonging. Again, noticing any changes in how it feels inside as you call to mind these kinds of experiences. Sometimes we notice a small smile coming to our face, or we can encourage one. It's another signal for the nervous system. And then we'll release the practice and return to the breath or sensation or sound. Kind of moving our perspective back a little bit to really encompass the feel of our body that is breathing. Really nothing we need to do or be other than present. Observing the aliveness from one breath to the next, from one place of sensation to the next. Sometimes we land awareness on the hands or the feet, but sometimes it's the whole body. Just the weight of the body seated, the feel of the shoulders relaxing, and the face, and the jaw. And the ability to release thoughts again and again without comment. Just practicing that we can release without judgment. Just an acceptance that the thoughts arrive and a familiarity with the path back into the moment through sensation or sound or breath. And when we notice how this feels, it's without words really. It's really sinking into the center of experience, pure sensation. So when the bell chimes, just give yourself permission to follow the breath, the sound of the bell, and sit for a few more moments with your eyes lowered or closed. And then the eyes open slowly. So I combined a couple of things there. I'll just speak about them briefly. Sometimes when we find the breath and we change it in the way that we did, longer, shorter, medium, it just anchors, it becomes easier to anchor our awareness because each breath is a little different. And as I mentioned at the beginning, sometimes if we just have those comparisons in an easy way, like, oh, I was active and now I'm sitting, it helps the mind to kind of anchor into noticing more. The things to notice just become a little more obvious. So moving the breath in that way can be helpful, and it's something you can do on your own when you sit. A long breath, a shorter breath, a more medium-sized breath for a few times, and then see what comes naturally. And of course, we can always count the breath in some way, which can be very helpful. And the other piece was a little bit kind of like a metta or loving kindness practice. It's also been called gladdening the heart or holding the positive. There's so many names for it. I've discussed it before. Since our minds gravitate towards what's familiar, we're kind of filling that mindfully empty space a little bit with something that gladdens our heart, that softens and feels comfortable. So that's refreshing, but it also reestablishes those pathways. It allows those neural pathways to fire together and wire together so they become more accessible. And it's a great way to relieve stress, to feel lighter in our moods and more refreshed. And so we can always bring to mind something like that, something that really touches our hearts, increases compassion for ourselves and for others. So very established practices and very helpful. So as always, I hope these are useful for you, that you'll practice them at home perhaps, and if you have questions, you can reach me through the community center. You can ask them for my email address and join me and a bunch of others on Tuesdays between 10:30 and 11 for a live guided meditation and chat. So as always, hope you're all staying well. Bye for now.